our kids want us to succeed. They want us to help them become fully alive in God. And there's going to be times when we're so overwhelmed, all of those things. In those moments, it's okay. This is something that was meant to take time.
Welcome to Blueprints, a podcast helping parents thrive in today's demanding world. Join Greg and Cody as they explore God's big plan for families and the big job of raising kids.
Well, hello. My name is Cody Kimmel, and this is
Greg Lunsford.
And this is our first episode, and we're really excited to get started. I'll give you a little bit on who I am. I am the executive director of Grace-Based Families. I was a pastor for so many years. I almost said too many years, but just so many years.
And it might have been.
It probably was. After that, I worked in the marketplace for a little while, and now I'm doing this. I have 4 kids ranging from 13 all the way down to 6. We have 3 boys, and our youngest is a girl. And my wife and I have been married for give or take 15 years. Once again, kind of lose track over time, and it changes.
It does.
Year.
I mean, the years always change.
So, and that's a little bit about me. Greg, why don't you share a little bit about you?
Yeah, I'm Greg. I've been in vocational ministry for about 15 years before stepping into this role, serving with Cody, and been married for 16 years. Our 16th anniversary was just last month, so it's fresh on the mind.
Oh, yeah.
And we have one son who is 11 years old.
Yeah, and it also changes every year.
It does. So, it's pretty wild.
And it's like they want us to know. It's like, I don't know. It's not my birthday.
Yeah, as it comes up, you hear so much about what they want and how they want. And so good times though.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, as we start to kind of get into this podcast, I thought it would be helpful for us to share a little bit about even just what it was like for us becoming dads and coming into this incredible role that we have as parents.
Yeah.
What was that like for you, Greg?
It was something I've always wanted. I've always dreamed of being a dad. And so I was so excited when my son came. But even though there was excitement attached to it, I do remember going home on that first night from the hospital, and I'm holding my son as he's crying, and I'm trying to do all the soothing things. Mm-hmm. Is he hungry, sleepy? How do I get him to settle down? And I remember at one point, just after probably what was minutes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Seconds.
I quickly found out how much more
seconds.
Patience my wife has than I do, because I'm sitting there trying to soothe him, and I'm like frustrated. I'm frustrated. And she's like, okay, I'll take him. But it was awesome because I loved being a dad. I still love being a dad. But at the same time, I was quickly met with, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember when Lauren and I became parents, very similar thing. We both really were excited to become parents. We had talked about kids and all that stuff. We kind of stepped into it a little earlier than we wanted to. We were hoping to have some of that double income, no kids life, and instead it was double part-time and no insurance life.
That's the dream.
It was a dream. It was like we dug a hole
and you
we
just
jumped
kept
into
digging.
it, and then we had babies in it, and that's where we've been.
Oh, that's amazing.
But very similar thing where we have them, and then you get this flood of both this joy, excitement, and what am I supposed to do with this kid?
Yeah.
I couldn't take care of a Yamagata toy when I was a kid. Like
my parents didn't even entrust me with that.
Yeah, no, and they shouldn't. And so I couldn't take care of this, and now I have a human life that I have to somehow care for and help
bring up to be
a human being,
and a good human being.
Yeah, a decent human being.
Yeah, at least
I would say. And with 4, you're playing the odds a little bit. It's like at least 3 out of the 4.
Right. Decent, it's like baseball. If you hit 300, then you're a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. One of the things that I remember is, when you start out with kids, you have these babies, and everything is so practical. Everything that you're doing. It's kind of this survival thing. You have the baby has, a nap time, or you have to change your diaper, you have to feed them at night. You've got this routine that you're doing.
Right.
And it's kind of this like almost necessary pragmatic survival thing. Like I remember at nighttime specifically, like we got into this like routine where, I would usually get up, I would be doing everything I could to help. And I remember, and this was, I think a stroke of genius and innovation.
Oh,
I would do something called the double diapering.
The double diaper.
And so, because, you have a baby and they're, they do whatever they want. And so they oftentimes are going to, load their diaper. I was trying to come up with a better way of saying that. I think that was the worst. They will load their diaper in the middle of the night because that's what they do. And, let's face it, like when they're like really little, they'll leak through all that stuff. So then you have to change you're trying to get them back down, but then you have to change their clothing. You have to change their jammies, do all that stuff. Then they'll wake up and then you have 20 more minutes of getting them to bed. It takes you 20 minutes to fall asleep. They're up again 20 minutes later and it's just chaos. So I would do a thing called double diapering. So I would take the size up, put the normal diaper on, take the size up diaper, put that on the outside and be able to shift it through. And so throughout the night, they never leaked through. I could get them down quickly. I had it down to a system. And I think I share that mainly to say you should look into double diapering.
You're a genius.
This was literally my greatest contribution to my
maybe
family.
America.
Probably. And the world.
If this is the only thing that parents glean from this podcast, I think we've had huge success.
We're done. Yes.
The double diaper.
The double diaper. But what comes from that is you almost start parenting trained to think of like, what's just the next thing? What's the practical thing? How do I get them from school to their after school activities, to sports, to piano lessons, to all these things? How do I make sure they have friends? How do I make sure they have enough clothes? How do I make sure they have enough food?
And this was just your Thursday yesterday.
Yeah, this is just like, I'm just describing my day.
Yeah.
And we get into this routine and rut. And even if we came into parenting with this idea that there's some bigger picture, that we're launching them towards something, we so quickly forget and get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And get, 5-10 years down the road and realize, I don't know where we're going with this. I can't remember what this big picture is or how to keep that on track in the midst of the chaos. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I live in Westland, Oregon. I have 4 kids that are 10 and under. Between the kids' sports schedule, their school schedule, all the different discipline needs, working and trying to be intentional with my husband, I feel like I'm barely treading water sometimes. I know that there's a big picture for parenting, and I really want to be intentional, but it is hard to see it right now. What is the big picture, and how can I stay on track with that in the midst of the busyness of life?
Yeah, Katie, that's a really good question. We do know that there is a big picture, a blueprint to parenting, but what is it? What is that blueprint? And Cody, can you kind of help walk us through that discussion?
Definitely. If I can sum it up, it is to guide our kids on the path to becoming fully alive in God.
Wow.
The big picture of parenting is that we get the opportunity to guide our kids on the path to becoming fully alive in God. And this is what I mean by that. There's one of my favorite quotes from an early church father is from St. Irenaeus, and he wrote, "The glory of God is man fully alive."
Yeah.
And it's something that's guided me when I was a pastor. It's guided me as a parent. It's guided me as a person, that we glorify God most when we become fully alive in him.
Yeah.
And that's really the goal of discipleship. That's the goal of our own spiritual journeys. And as a parent, like, that's the big picture that we're doing.
Absolutely.
I think it's so easy for us to slip into this idea that the big picture of parenting is we want to keep our kids safe, which, sure, we want to keep our kids safe. Or it's to launch them into success where maybe they go to a good school, they're able to get a good job. Maybe they're, they can have fun, they go on adventures. Right. All of those things are good.
Right.
But they're not the big picture, actually. They're not the thing that we're actually, I think, called to. And sometimes we can almost miss what the goodness of what God has for us by limiting the picture that we're doing. And so that's the big picture.
Because with them becoming fully alive in God, all those other things, if they're doing that, all those other things will fall into place.
Exactly.
And so how do we help our kids become fully alive in God?
Yeah. And it's even just, how do we stay on track for this when things are busy? Because like Katie said, I'm in the same boat, and I know you're in the same boat. So I want to make kind of 3 observation points for how do we stay on track in the busyness of life on this big picture of parenting. first observation is that this is the long game, and that should be a relief to us.
Yeah, we should experience grace and understanding that it is a long game.
Totally. You know, on the one hand, like parenting is consequential. And so the reason why we sometimes feel pressure, sometimes we'll feel the weight of it, is because there is a weight to it. What we do with our kids, how we parent them, the influence that we have in their lives matters for who they become.
Yeah.
And I don't want to downplay that, but at the same time, this is not something that happens overnight.
Yeah.
And there is so much room for ups and downs, ebbs and flows, mistakes, all of that stuff to still end up in the same spot.
And Cody, when you say that, it reminds me of God the Father and us, his kids. And specifically, I'm thinking about in the Old Testament, we got Adam and Eve in that garden moment where, you know what, they didn't make the right decision. And we experienced the consequences of that. But what I'm getting at is more how God the Father parented his kids in that time. And he started this redemption process to bring them back to himself, to us back to himself, so that we could become fully alive in God. And so in the Old Testament, we see over and over how God and his kids' missteps, his kids' rejections, how they would forget his ways. But over and over again, we see God's grace experienced, God's love known, and he was never leaving his people.
Yeah.
He never left his kids.
Yeah.
And he saw the long run, and it was thousands of years before Jesus.
Yeah, and that's way longer than we have to parent our kids.
Yeah, we got, like 60?
Yeah, and so, yeah, totally.
And it reminds me of this Beastie Boy lyric, slow and low, that is a tempo.
Yeah.
So you're telling us that parenting is a slow and low game.
Just like the Beastie Boys.
Just like the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, and on that, one thing that even I think gives us even more relief is, like, our kids want us to succeed.
Yeah.
Like, there are so few things in this world that are so for us in our success.
But our kids are one of them.
But our kids are one of them.
Yeah.
They want us to succeed. They want us to do well. They want to have a relationship with us. They want us to help them become fully alive in God. And that should give us a relief. So, because there's going to be times when we mess up. There's going to be times when we lose the plot. There's going to be times when we're so overwhelmed, all of those things. In those moments, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because this is the long game, and we're going to have time over time. And this is something that was meant to take time. And so that's the first point, that this is the long game.
Yeah.
So that should be a relief to us. The second observation that I think has to do with our mindset that we bring into this is that we can either have a mindset of obligation and duty to parenting, or we can have a mindset of opportunity.
Oh.
This is either an obligation we have or an opportunity.
That's good.
I think about, I am a morning person. I'm a person that likes routines. I remember I felt the struggle a lot as a dad when I became a dad, almost feeling like my kids were this burden keeping me from this life that I wish that I had.
From your mornings?
Yeah.
They were taking your mornings.
And it felt so stupid. Like, when I would say it out loud and complain about it to my wife, like, it felt so dumb. Like, and so I get it, but it was also a big part of my life. Like, I am a different person when I have a good, consistent morning routine. Like, I'm happier. I'm better to be around. I can do more. Like, I'm just a better human being when I can get up early. I can exercise. I can read. I can write. I can have just some alone time. And so, and I had kind of a life that I had that, and that was great. And then let's just say kids came along and they don't care.
They don't.
They genuinely don't care what I'm doing with my time. And for a long time, that was a real struggle where, like, I mean, our oldest is 13 years old, and I pretty much haven't had a consistent morning routine for 13 years.
Wow.
Because
he took that from you.
Yeah, he took that from me. He robbed me of this thing. But I remember, like, I would be in this and I would be really struggling with it. And it was like, and I don't remember what it was. It was probably, let's be honest, it was probably something my wife said to me that flipped it around, where instead of seeing these kids coming down, because it literally was, it didn't matter how early I got up. It didn't matter. They just knew. It's like they would huddle together and be like, you answer the call, and you show up and you make sure he's making you pancakes,
bring destruction,
and throw a giant fit. Just do whatever you want. What flipped is realizing that kid First off, that might be some of the only one-on-one time I get with that kid. I have 4 kids. Getting one-on-one time with kids where you actually have their attention, they have your attention, is not an easy task to do. And when I kind of let go of this weird idea that this was my time and they were keeping me from this, to where this is a time that I get to be a part of God's work in their life.
Wow.
And be a part of who they're becoming, spending time with them. It completely changed around. I still don't have a morning routine, but I get to participate in the joy and work of God in those things. And I see those now as incredible opportunities as a dad.
Yeah, that's good. That reminds me of, there was a time recently where I was riding in the car with my son and he was just talking. And I was getting so annoyed because you know what he was talking about? He was talking about Minecraft.
Oh, Minecraft is the worst.
And I do not care.
The graphics.
What is that? Are we going back to 8-bit?
We are way better than this.
I'm like, I don't care. And then there was this Holy Spirit moment for me where there was this conviction of, hey, let's focus on the fact that your kid's talking to you.
Yeah.
And that allowed the switch in my mindset that you're talking about to go, my kid is talking to me. My kid loves me. My kid wants to spend time with me. My kid wants to talk and know that I'm listening to him. But it also was even a bigger picture moment for me because I thought about how many times have I talked to God the Father with some things equivalent to Minecraft, but his heart is my kid's just talking to me.
Right.
And so it really allowed a lot of grace to be shown. And so instead of being annoyed, the flip of the mindset became, I started asking questions. Cody, I was asking questions about Minecraft.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But it went from obligation to opportunity.
Right. And I think what's so important about this is the busyness is not ending.
No.
It's going to be busy. And parenting doesn't happen separated from that. It happens through that.
Yeah.
And so we can either choose to miss the opportunities in those moments or lean into the opportunities. And I think that that's an easy way to stay on track is reminding ourselves we get the joy of joining in God's work of bringing our kids into full life.
And we will get joy in seeing God, them becoming fully alive in God.
Exactly. The third observation that I see for this is that God left us a blueprint to follow. So we are not left to our own devices.
Yes.
So not only is this the long game, that's a relief. Not only is this an opportunity for us to have to join in the joy of the work that God is doing, but we don't have to do this alone. We don't have to do this on our own. God has left us a blueprint to follow because, God is a parent, and you mentioned this when you talked about God kind of parenting Israel and his people. Like God is a parent to us, and we can look at how he parents his kids and we can learn from that and model the way we parent our kids after that. What's great is we don't have to be the experts.
And we're not.
Yeah, no, we're not. You are especially not an expert.
Yeah, very much so. But it is in God's good grace that he would leave us his word, and he would show us his example of loving and living among us with Jesus and to show us how to love our kids. And he has given us this framework, this blueprint about how to be good dads and moms.
Exactly. And that's why I'm excited about this podcast is we get to explore together what does it look like to treat our kids the way that God treats his.
Hey, this is Brianne from Portland. Next week on Blueprints.
Yeah, next week on Blueprints. And then it's just some stupid thing that we do.
Yeah.
Wow, wow.
Blueprints is a production of Grace-Based Families, a nonprofit that equips ordinary parents to raise extraordinary kids. Grace-Based Families makes free resources for parents thanks to the generosity of listeners like me. To join in the work of transforming generations of families, go to gracebasedfamilies.com/join.